Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Thank you for coming back to an unexpected episode of Scattered Brilliancy. My name is Travis, and today we're going to do Sunday Roundup. I did Friday Roundups a long time ago, and I didn't really keep up with it, but I decided I would do a Sunday Roundup because I'm bored. First off, clearly Hurricane Florence is going on right now. It's Wednesday, this past Wednesday at work, because everybody who doesn't know, I'm a teacher. Wednesday at work was a early release day, but it was already scheduled. Instead of doing so many teacher work days, they started doing early release days. So Wednesday was an early release day. As I was walking out to go to my car on Wednesday, we found out they canceled school for the rest of the week. So there was no school Thursday and Friday. So I've had like cabin fever because I haven't really been able to go anywhere. I really haven't been able to do anything and been kind of stuck in the house. And Friday, we found out they canceled school for Monday. So it's Sunday. I don't have school tomorrow. And the way things are going, I would not be surprised if we don't have school Tuesday. Wednesday, there was already no school because that was supposed to be a regular teacher work day. So I'm going to have to get out the house at some point or another and just walk down the street. So yeah, Hurricane Florence is going on right now. Unfortunately, you know, there have been some deaths related to Hurricane Florence within North and South Carolina. So, you know, my prayers and thoughts are with all those families who were affected. I saw that there was a mother and an infant who were killed when a tree fell on their house. You know, Charlotte, which is where I'm at, is not in the path of the eye or anything, but excuse me, we still have had a whole bunch of stuff going on here. You know, thankfully, there's nothing has happened to our house. My mom called me maybe about 30 minutes ago, said they just lost power, and she lives like 5 minutes from us. But so we're hoping our power stays on. If you see the lights go out, that's just because we lost power. But you know, the wind has been crazy and it's been throwing rain all over the place. But as far as my neighborhood is concerned, nothing has really happened here. I found out that the McDonald's down the street just caught on fire. Don't know if that's hurricane related or not, but I'm just kind of like, well, thank God it wasn't Chick-fil-A because we don't eat McDonald's. I mean, it's still bad, but you know, hey, if I had to choose which one, you know, was going to go ablaze, I would not want Chick-fil-A too. And it sucks because it's Sunday, and I feel like Sundays are always a day when I really want some Chick-fil-A. But, so yeah, we're doing okay in Hurricane Florence, just doing nothing, absolutely nothing, just... I did take some time to get my paintings finished. If y'all watched the video where I talked about social media and success, I talked about wanting to venture out and do some original paintings that weren't inspired by anybody. So I finally got the last one completed. This one right here is called Crowns. If you head over to my personal Instagram account, which is now public, which is @TravisA.Thompson, you can see the process video for this one right here. I recorded it from beginning to end, painting it. So that's over on my Instagram, and in my highlights, I have all 4 of the paintings for my royalty collection. My mom just texted me and said their power is back on. Good. So if you want to see what that painting looks like or see how it was created, you can head over to my Instagram to see that video. And I have a video posted of it on my art YouTube channel, which is Sivart TV, SIVART-TV. So I wanted to do a video today, like I said, because I was bored. I haven't done a roundup video in a very long time, and there's always stuff that's going on, and I don't really do, I watch Forest Rocks, but I don't do a top of the blocks type video, but I figured I'd do something similar to that, just kind of giving my opinion about things that are going on in the world. I asked for people to give suggestions on things that they want me to talk about, but you know, I don't know if a lot of people even saw that video to make a comment. So these are just a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. But first, let's give a shout out to Jocelyn Rowe. She says she's on the sick and shut-in list because she had ankle surgery. So we want to keep Jocelyn lifted up in our thoughts and prayers and hope she has a speedy recovery for her ankle. She also asked why she's not rich. I don't know, because if I knew why you weren't rich, I know why I wasn't rich. But so let's keep Jocelyn in our thoughts, y'all. So let's talk about some stuff that's going on. Let's start with some of the more serious stuff. Let's talk about Nike and Kaepernick for a second. I've made, I think, at least one video with my thoughts on the NFL. As you all know, I don't watch sports. I don't keep up with sports. I've never been a sports fan. I'll go watch in person, but I'm not the kind of person who watches on TV. But at this point, I'm not supporting the NFL in any way possible because I do not believe that what they were doing to, or what they are doing to Kaepernick is right. I think it's wrong. I think the things that he's standing up for are important, and it's important for somebody to stand up for, because if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for anything. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So I definitely support him, you know, 100%. I saw that he was selling jerseys, and I was like, oh, how much? I saw they already sold out, but I'm like, oh, how much are these jerseys? And I saw it was $175, and I was like, I won't be getting mad. I support you, but not that much. But I thought it was interesting that people were burning their Nikes. I know this is old news, but I did not understand that. I don't understand people who protest in ways where you spend your money, or you have spent your money on something, and then you decide to burn it or break it or something. Or, you know, if you don't want it anymore, just throw it away. But we have an app called Nextdoor, which is a neighborhood app, like neighborhood social media, where you can communicate with the people who live in your neighborhood. And there was a woman, on our Nextdoor app who said that she was just going to be collecting shoes. So instead of burning them, how about you give them to her so she can donate them to homeless shelters, which makes a lot more sense, because unfortunately, if you look at the rates of homeless shelters and who's in them, there are a lot of veterans in there, and a lot of people who are misunderstanding what the whole protest was about think that the protest is disrespectful to the flag and to veterans. So if you were going to do anything with those shoes, it would make sense for you to donate them to the people who you think are being disrespected. But, you know, a lot of people just want to be upset at Kaepernick for, you know, the color of his skin. And, you know, we can just call it what it really is. But she suggested that people, you know, give the shoes to her so she can take them to the different shelters. And I thought that was a great idea. But clearly, I'm not burning any of my shoes, because I support Nike, and I think what Nike has done with their campaign using him, I think is awesome, and I think it sends a clear message. And I know Nike won't be hurted for people burning shoes they already bought. But so yeah, I don't understand the Nike protest at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. You've already spent your money. You might as well give the shoes away. But, you know, people want to try to send this message, and I think all it is this is that your racist is showing. Your racism is showing. That's all it is. At the end of the day, it's just you're showing your racism. And that's cool. You know, I'd rather know where you stand in relation to me and people who look like me. That way I know how to govern myself accordingly when I come in contact with you, you know. I'd rather we all just be on the same page, that we all know how everybody feels about each other. So, you know, I don't think that racism is going anywhere, and I've said that in other videos, but I think that a lot of people just need a reason to be upset, and Nike and Kaepernick gave them a reason. Next up, let's talk about the Dallas shooting. So those who do not know, was it maybe the week before last? I didn't write down dates, but there was a shooting in Dallas, Texas, where a female police officer shot a black man. A white female police officer shot a black man in his own apartment. And she claimed that she mistook this apartment for hers. So when this story originally came out, I think a lot of us were kind of like, that doesn't make much sense. How do you, like, mistake somebody's apartment for yours, go in and shoot somebody? It doesn't make sense. Even with just those few details, it didn't make any sense then. My wife and I were talking about it, and he said, something's up. There's more to this story. So then there was some false information that came out saying that they knew each other. Then there was information coming out saying they were exes, and it's all this other stuff. And I think all of that has been verified as being fake. But what we have learned to be true is that, number one, she was on the wrong floor. I guess she parked on the wrong floor and went to the wrong apartment. I guess they were saying it's the same apartment adjacent to where hers is, just on a different floor. That's number one. But his name is Botham Jean. I hope that's how you say his first name. I'm not sure. I definitely needed to say his name. But his name is Botham Jean. And I'm not going to say her name, because if you want to know what that is, you can go find it. But his apartment had a red mat at the front of his door. That's number one. There have been residents who have shown how you get into the doors at this particular apartment complex, and it doesn't like it's anything easy. Like, you put a key in, if the key doesn't work, it turns red. If the key works, it turns green. She said that the door was wide open. There have been residents who dispute that by showing that when you open the door and you let it go, the door automatically closes. There have been residents who also said that they heard her banging on the door, asking him to open the door. But she says the door was open, or that the door was unlocked, and she just walked in. None of this makes sense. And what's more irritating about this whole story is the fact that it took so long for them to arrest this woman. Now, she was off duty. They said she had worked a long shift, and I understand people are tired after a long shift. But all of this stuff doesn't add up. All of this stuff does not make sense. And it's unfair, and it sucks that we live in a society that allowed this woman to kill this man and stay free for as long as she did. Now, she's been arrested now, and she was charged with, I believe, manslaughter, because I think they were going to charge her with manslaughter, and they took it away. But it took that long. If she had been just some regular person, or to go there, if the tables had been reversed, do y'all really think a black police officer who shot a white woman would have been able to shoot her and still have not been arrested that night? Do y'all really think that would have happened? I don't think it would have, but that's just me. But the police department in Dallas seems to be trying to cover up whatever the true story is, because I don't feel like we really have the true story. There are parts of me who do believe she knew him, because it doesn't make sense for you to be, number one, off duty and trying to get somebody to open the door. Now, if you're on duty and you have a search warrant or something, then you're going to bang on somebody's door and try to get them to open the door. That makes sense when you're on duty. But you're off duty and you're banging on somebody's door to open it. You've been there before. Now, if it was your apartment, you wouldn't have to bang on the door because your key would work, correct? So just the fact that you said that you didn't know it was yours just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, all the doors in the apartment, they look similar, but I just cannot buy the whole thing that she didn't know that wasn't her apartment. So then, to top off everything that didn't make sense with this story, and that really just got me hot, was the fact that they wanted to put out in the news that marijuana was found in his apartment. And we all know that that was just a way for them to smear this man's character. Now, any other time that there has been a highly publicized black man that has been shot and killed by a police officer or by a white person, they, being the media, I'm not caring about left or right, but just media in general, will find anything that this person has done wrong in their past, whether he was expelled from school, in a boarding school, well, not in a boarding school, but in some kind of foster care system, he had issues, or he was gang-related, like anything that they can find to assassinate somebody's character, they find and put it out there to make it seem as if the victim deserved whatever it was that they got. And it ticked me off, because initially when they talked about who both of them was, he seemed just like a great person. He was a worship leader at his school. He not currently, he consistently was speaking at his school for different engagements. But he just seemed to be, you know, clean-cut guy, not in any trouble, but they found a way to make him not seem as great as he was. I believe the weed was planted. That's just me. They never said who everything belonged to, but the thing is, why would it have been there if it didn't belong to him and he lived by himself? But all in all, the case is just, I feel like if the police officer who shot him and killed him, who murdered him, is not charged with murder, I have lost whatever little bit of hope I may have had in the justice system and the justice system for brown people. I mean, I just, if she gets off from this, y'all, Dallas is not going to be a good place to be. People thought Ferguson riots were bad. I would not want to be anywhere near Dallas if this lady gets off. But there's so much more information about this case that you can go find out on the internet. Again, his name is Botham Jean. He was 26, and he was killed by a police officer, a white woman police officer. So, and there's pictures of her with people who are throwing up signs that are associated with white supremacy, but we won't go there today. All right, so that's it for the heavy stuff. Let's move into some stuff that's a little more ignorant. So let's talk about Cardi B and Nicki. Someone in the comments asked me to talk about that. Let me check real quick to make sure nobody else has left anything else in the comments as something for me to talk about. But as we all know, Nicki Minaj has been pretty much on top of the rap game as a female for a good amount of years. I maybe say 8 years, maybe. I don't know. But she's been on top. And Cardi B came from Love and Hip Hop and kind of just blew up. Now, I don't really feel like Cardi B or Nicki Minaj are these amazing lyricists or amazing rappers. I think they both have a gimmick that has worked for both of them. Nicki Minaj was biting off of like Lil' Kim and Lady Gaga and Cardi B came out as like the ratchet girl next door. And I think those gimmicks helped them to be as successful as they were. But they never have seemed to have a like for each other. So last week, I believe it was, at New York Fashion Week, there was an altercation between Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, more so Cardi B. Apparently, she said that Nicki Minaj had been talking about her child, and she's also said that there are things that have been happening behind the scenes regarding Nicki and the way that she tries to hold people back. But people have been saying that about her. So, excuse me, she took it upon herself to go and confront Nicki Minaj at this event. She never really got to her, and she ended up leaving with a knot on the side of her head. So a lot of people are feeling like, that wasn't the time or the place to do it, but a lot of people feel like if you've been talking trash about me, it's going to be on site. When I see you, I mean, let's go. But my thoughts in general are, it's not a good look for either of them. It's not a good look for Nicki, more so. I feel like it's worse for her because she's been in the game for a little bit, so she should be a little bit better at this. But I think she's been so comfortable and she's been so used to being the only female rapper that I think Cardi B's success has had her shook. I think the fact that her album did not debut at #1, and it was not a #1 album, no matter how many times she tries to downplay whatever Travis Scott did to get his to keep his #1. The truth of the matter is Nicki Minaj did not have #1. I guess she's never had a #1 album. I may be wrong, but I don't care. But I don't think it's a good look for any of them. I think for Cardi B, you can find a better way to address it. The thing is, if you really want to like confront her, you can find out where she is. I'm pretty sure it's not hard to find Nicki Minaj. I mean, she has a tour schedule. She does this radio thing. You can find out where this is. And if you really wanted to go like catch her, you could do that. But I think in general, it's just not a good look for either of them. I think it's real ignorant. But that's the rap culture, and that's what people like to see. That's the kind of drama people like to hear about. So I can't say I'm surprised. But we'll see, because this whole Nicki Minaj Cardi B saga isn't over. It's gonna keep going, so we'll just see where it goes from there. Next up, let's talk about Katt Williams versus Tiffany Haddish. So I think a few days ago, Katt Williams was at V103 in Atlanta with somebody in Wanda. I forgot the other guy, Frank and Wanda maybe. And he roasted Wanda during that interview. But there was one point in the interview where he was talking about Tiffany Haddish and talking about that she's not, I'm paraphrasing, she's not a real comedian because she hasn't done a tour. And I think the things that Katt Williams was saying had a little bit of truth to it, because he said, can you name one Tiffany Haddish joke? That's a Tiffany Haddish joke. If you think about Katt Williams, you can think about Po Little Tink Tink. So, you have these different comedians who have kind of that one joke you can always remember them by, and Tiffany Haddish doesn't have that. But at the end of the day, Tiffany Haddish has been very successful. Tiffany Haddish has blown up within the last 2 years. From Girls Trip on, she's had nothing but like hits. And then, she and Katt just won Emmys. I mean, that's a big deal for two black comedians to win an Emmy award. But I thought Katt Williams sounded a little haterish, just a little bit. Because I think it's one of those situations where if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Because not only was he name-dropping her, he name-dropped Gerard Carmichael, Lil Rel, Kevin Hart. And I don't think if you're not doing anything to help push the culture forward, or you're not doing anything to help move the culture forward, you really can just keep your opinion to yourself. I think there was a moment where he was trying to toot his own horn, but in order to toot his own horn, he had to turn other people's lights off. And I think that negates what you're doing. I think it's important for all of us to big ourselves up, to talk about the accomplishments that we have as individuals. But I think when you have to downplay somebody else's to make yours seem greater, then that's when the problem comes in. And that's what it seemed like Katt Williams was doing. Now, like I said, there was truth to what he was saying, because I have not known of a tour or a comedy special that Tiffany Haddish has had. Not to say that she hasn't had any, but Kevin Hart has had, not Kevin Hart, but Katt Williams has had a lot. Kevin Hart has had a lot. But I just think that the comments that he was making, I just think was just a little unnecessary, because I don't think that was the reason that he was there for. It almost seemed like it was a way for him to make himself more relevant. But I mean, Katt Williams is a relevant comedian, so I really don't understand the purpose for all of it. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about. Oops, side note. Y'all, guess what? I found out this morning that I have $3 million in a security account in Botswana. Okay, never mind. On the Shade Room, there was a post that said, if the parents aren't married, should the baby get the mother or father's last name? We're going to end the video talking about this. If the parents aren't married, should the baby get the mother or father's last name? And in the comments, people were going back and forth about whose last name should the baby get. Now, most of y'all all know my stance on children and all of that kind of stuff. I did not want to have children until I was married first, and that's what happened. So, traditionally, children are given the last name of their father. But there have been many cases where they're given the last name of their father, but the father is absent or, you know, ends up being absent and does not stick around to help raise a child, which is bad. So I can't really say whether I think a child should or shouldn't get the mother's last name. I do think that with tradition being that it's always been the male, in a sense, I think the easiest thing to do is just to hyphenate the last name, because that way you're getting both parents, and that way you're also able to maintain some sense of lineage when it comes to that child. Because, you know, when I look at Ancestry, when I'm looking up my family stuff, which I'm still doing, it's hard to go back so far. For me, my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, my dad's dad, was adopted by the Thompson family. Now, my last name is Thompson, but he was adopted by the Thompson family. So, bloodline-wise, my last name technically should not be Thompson. My last name technically should be Bailey. That is the birth last name that my father had before he was adopted by the Thompsons. Now, that situation is nothing like this, but in that case, it's hard to trace who your family is when you don't really know what last name, you know, you had or you were supposed to have or anything like that, if I'm making any sense. So I think the easiest thing to do when it comes to a situation where there's been a child born out of wedlock is just to hyphenate the last names. And then if the parents end up together, end up getting married, then you can change the last name to that family name. But I can't necessarily say that I think that a child should be automatically given the father's last name or that the child should automatically be given the mother's last name. I can't say that because I don't know. That's not a situation that I'm in. One of the ladies, it was terrible that she posted this because it was a black woman. She said the child should be given the mother's last name if they're black, because the father is just going to leave anyway. And I thought that's a terrible thought process to have about a group of people, that all black men leave their children. Do some? Yes. Do all? No, because I'm clearly in my daughter's life, and I know plenty of black men with children who are still in their daughter's lives or still in their children's lives. So I thought that was completely ignorant. But another guy said that women should be more intuitive about the men that they're sleeping with. And I hope it doesn't sound like misogynistic for me to say this, but I agree. I think that there's responsibility on both sides when it comes to children. I think that as adults, and I've said this, I feel like all the time in my videos, I think it's important that as adults, when you're deciding to go there sexually with people, you have to understand what could come of that situation. We all should know that sex was is created for procreation, to create children. So why people get surprised when they pop up pregnant makes no sense to me. And I think men have to hold the responsibility of knowing that if you're going to go there with a woman and you make a child, you need to uphold your responsibility of being there for that child. And at the same time, I think women have to understand that if you're going to let a man into that special place of yours, you have to understand there's a potential that he may not be around. So I almost feel like, and y'all let me know if y'all think this is wrong for me to think this, I almost feel like women hold the final say to intercourse and to where is this going, because without you, there is no children, you know, because when you think about the way a child is brought up in this world, the child is with the mother for 9 months, assuming it's a regular pregnancy. So the child will always have an attachment to the mother. And it's not the same for a father. So it's like a father can be absent and it not make any significant difference as it would if the mother was absent. That's just my opinion based on nothing. But I think women have to, unfortunately, be more mindful of the men that they entertain. Now, men should do what they're supposed to do. They should stick behind their word and stand up and be a man, definitely. However, there are men who just aren't like that. And I think it's up to women to be the stop sign, to say, no, your character is not really matching up with who I would want my child to be raised. I have a family member who, before she would entertain any kind of guy, she would think about what the children would look like when if they got together and had children, what would that child look like? And I think it goes beyond that. I think you have to look at people's character and say, would I want to have a child with you? Would I want to be tied to you for 18 years? And I think that's a thought that people don't have. They don't think about the future. As I always say, people are very present-minded. They don't think about what tomorrow is going to bring. So they're just in it for that one moment of pleasure, and they don't care what comes from it. And then you're stuck in a situation where you have to figure out whose last name the child is going to have. Now, granted, you can be with a man, and he can up and leave you. But at the end of the day, you're going to be stuck with that child initially, kind of, if I'm making any sense. So I think that that's something that you have to think about. Do you want to be stuck with a child because you're not sure of a man's character? Now, if a man is showing you everything he should, he's trying to be the best man possible, I mean, I feel like you have a better chance of him being around than a guy who already has 5 kids and he's not in their lives. I feel like it's situations like that where there's got to be some responsibility on somebody's part. The responsibility definitely falls on the guy for not being in his children's life and not standing up, like stepping up to the plate. But the responsibility also falls on you for sleeping with a man who already had a whole bunch of kids and he wasn't taking care of them. And you thought that yours was going to be, you thought your situation was going to be different. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to teach my daughter not to do it. Even though I know that moment will come. But I'm going to teach her that how to be discerning, how to pay attention to people's characters, how to listen to what they say, watch their actions, do they match, to watch all of that and let that be the deciding factor on who you're going to entertain and who you're going to let into your life in that special way. I think all of that is important, and I think we all kind of overlook that. I think there are men who overlook that when it comes to no good women, and I think there are women who overlook that when it comes to no good men. But we all have to take responsibility in that kind of stuff. Like, you didn't make a baby by yourself, so you need to take care of your responsibilities, but you need to also remember that you didn't make a baby by yourself, so you knew what you were doing when you were making that baby. Somebody come, oh, that's a different video. But yeah, that's all I really had to, that's all the topics I had for today. We're almost at 30 minutes, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I don't have anything else to talk about. I think this was a decent enough video. I at least got some out my system. But like I said, if y'all want to see my new paintings, you can head over to my Instagram at Travis A. Thompson and let me know what you think about them. And I'm going to try to find, I'm probably going to do a couple more paintings, but I'm going to try to find something to do with my time between today and tomorrow. I really hope we're not out of school on Tuesday, because we already going to have to make up these 3 days that we've been out. And I don't feel like making up 4 days of school, because I know they're already going to tap into our winter break. And I definitely don't need them to tap into our spring break, because I will be out of town. Trip is paid for. So I may do another video later. If enough people comment with different things, you know, I may make another video just because I'll be here. 90 Day Fiancé comes on tonight. I might watch it. Don't hold your breath, though. I might watch it since I know I don't have to go to work tomorrow. But y'all take care. If you're in North Carolina and South Carolina, make sure you're staying safe. Stay inside. Don't go out in all of this mess. It's not worth it. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. If you have any questions that you want me to do for Ask Travis, you can email those to scatterbrilliancy@yahoo.com. And I'll be talking to y'all later. Peace.